So I told this story on one of my streams, but I've never actually told it in a video. And I actually haven't made a commentary like this in a while. But basically, the reason why I'm telling this is not because of what happened, but because of how impressed I was with how I handled the situation. Basically, one Friday night, my girlfriend texted me saying that she went out to a party with her cousin who was visiting our college town, and they were really drunk and they needed a ride home. So they came over to my place and we were hanging out for a little bit before we finally took them home, and I was driving them home when my girlfriend's cousin in the back of the car started coughing profusely. And it wasn't just a cough, it was also a wheezing sound in between the coughs, as if she is struggling to get air back in, which is a bad combination. Knowing that she had severe asthma, I was a little bit worried. However, she did have her inhaler and she was using it a lot. However, it didn't seem to be helping her. She used it quite a few times, and because it is a medicine, I thought that wasn't a good sign, that the medicine wasn't apparently working and she was getting a lot of it. This lasted the whole trip of about 10 minutes. When we got to their place, I asked my girlfriend if she wanted help getting her cousin to their room. Her cousin was able to walk by herself at that point. We got her into the elevator and she started coughing some more, and actually when the elevator reached the correct floor, she collapsed a little bit. Not necessarily she fell over, but she just collapsed where she fell down in the spot where she was, so she basically sat down from a standing position. This, of course, was another troublesome warning. We quickly got her up and she was able to walk still, and we got her down the hall to my girlfriend's dorm. Well, more of an apartment, actually. As soon as she got into the apartment, she sat down on the kitchen floor, and when we repeatedly asked her if she wanted to move to the couch, she declined, which was a little bit odd. So she sat down on the floor and she kept doing this coughing and wheezing. But she would also have these episodes where she seemed to be doing better, where she was breathing more normally and she wasn't coughing, and then she would start up coughing again. Well, after a particularly bad episode of coughing, she actually collapsed sideways. Immediately, I dropped down to check if she was breathing and if she still had a pulse. She did have a pulse, but she was not breathing. Immediately, I pull out my phone and dial 911. The operator asks what is going on and almost immediately dispatches the paramedics. During the time that it took for the paramedics to get there, the operator took me through methods to give her mouth-to-mouth and chest compressions. After giving mouth-to-mouth and chest compressions for a little bit, she actually started breathing again, but barely, and she was very out of it and almost barely conscious. When the paramedics arrived, they had to look at her for quite a while and basically give her this medicine that they have that opens up her lungs so that she's actually able to breathe. And it was quite a scary experience. But I wasn't feeling like a hero because I wasn't really a hero. I just was amazed by how I handled that situation. Being a rather timid guy, I thought that I would not be comfortable calling 911. I would not want to call 911, and I would want to avoid it at all costs. As soon as the cousin fell over and I realized she wasn't breathing, I immediately pulled out my phone and dialed 911. At this point, my girlfriend and both of her roommates that were present were freaking out, and I mean hardcore. I was the one who was staying calm, and I was impressed by that as well. So not only was it how I reacted to the situation, but it was also how I handled the entire situation and how I was able to calm everyone down. Had I not been there, I fear the outcome might have been severely worse, as my girlfriend was rather drunk and she was hysterical. I don't think she would have been able to dial 911, and even if she had been able to, I don't think the operator would have been able to understand what was going on. I had to redirect my girlfriend away, and when the paramedics arrived, I actually had to get her out of the room because being in the room was quite upsetting for her. Even though the cousin was alive and breathing at the time, she needed to get out of there as soon as possible. The next day, the cousin actually had no recollection of the events that happened, but ironically, she seemed rather unsurprised when we told her what had happened. And it was definitely a good learning experience, but I just wanted to tell you guys this because I thought you might find the story quite interesting. Thank you for watching the video. Make sure to comment, rate, and subscribe, and have a nice day.